to what I was saying about Ariana saying that the challenge was necessary. She was saying the challenge was necessary essentially because, especially for the Taylor and Olandria situation, Taylor was leading her on, and it was necessary for, I guess, the truth to come out, which I also would have to disagree with because, once again, Taylor had plenty of opportunity to let Olandria know how he was feeling. Okay, let's forget about the first 3-4 weeks that he was leading Olandria on. Let's just talk about with him and Clark. He still had ample opportunity to let her know that he liked Clark more than he liked Olandria. I get it, it's hard, whatever, but obviously it wasn't that hard for him to do it when there was 20 people sitting there and for him to embarrass Olandria in front of everyone. And the thing is, like, he really didn't even need to take that opportunity to do that. He did, it is what it is, but he didn't need to take that opportunity to say all that in front of everyone. It was mean, it was disrespectful, it was rude, in my opinion. Sophie mentioned to Ariana that the Islanders had gotten all the lineups wrong from the Burst Your Bubble Challenge, which was the Maybelline bubble mascara challenge, the one where they were all lining up with the poles. And Ariana said that, obviously they were making their lineups based off of what they know about each other. So they're going off their real life interactions with each other and, what they know about each other. And it is something, it's different than what we see. And I've said this time and time again, it's completely different from what we see. They're there with each other 24/7, right? So they're seeing each other in a completely different light. We're seeing an edited version of what they may or may not be seeing, right? Because sometimes we see things that other Islanders don't see. A lot of times we see things that other Islanders aren't going to see until they come back and watch the show, right? So, when they're making their lineups and where we're making our lineups, it's completely different. And it makes sense for it to be completely different from what they think. Sophie mentioned that the favorite Islanders have kind of been all over the place this season in terms of what the public thinks. And Ariana's like, yeah, give them a second to resolve their arguments before you hop online and start being absolutely atrocious. And I'm just like, girl, please, shut the fuck up, please. Like, I've been an Ariana fan until recently, right? With her making comments regarding Shelly and the Huda situation. Like, she really didn't need to do that because she created more of a mess than what it needed to be. I just think it's really rich for her to, say to be like the voice of reason. Like, please, okay? Because you're not making anything better with the things that you're saying. And you're working for, a network and establishment that's not making anything better. They're actually making everything worse with the way that they edit the show, with the challenges that they do. They're making the online sentiment a lot worse. They're not helping it at all. Just because you put out a little message that says stop bullying doesn't mean that that's going to do anything. That's not going to convince anyone to stop bullying when y'all are the ones that are actually bullying the Islanders with all this crazy stuff that y'all have been doing. So Ariana can literally miss me with that. Anyway, she said it blows her mind that, again, she has to say not to harass people on the internet, and she doesn't understand why week after week they have to say it again. Which, yeah, I get that. But like I said, I'm not going to repeat myself again, but, still, that does not excuse anyone from harassing the Islanders, their families, or anything. So I'm not making excuses for that at all. Like, because, guys, it's a show. It's a show. Stop harassing people. Stop harassing their families. It's really not that serious. Ariana also said it was cool to see Amaya get chosen at the top because she has had kind of ups and downs on her journey. They showed an unseen outtake, and Amaya had slipped and fallen during the challenge because there was goo on the ground, like slime or whatever. So she slipped, but you know how Amaya is. She said she meant to do it and it was just her trick. Ariana said the Crass Out Challenge was her favorite because it was fun and entertaining. I have to disagree. It was stupid and boring. She mentioned that there will be a recoupling on Sunday, which is tonight. And then one good thing she said is later this week, the Islanders will receive visits from their family members. So thank you to season 6 once again for giving them a bigger budget and allowing them to fly family members and friends out to Love Island for the Islanders to be able to be with their families in person. Last year, some of them got video calls. Some of them got video calls last year, not even everyone, which was ridiculous. But thankfully, because of season 6, they were able to fly people out, because UK does it all the time. UK flies families and, loved ones and whatever out all the time for these family visits. So it is cool to see that this season gets to do that, even though this season is a hot mess. Whatever, they're still missing their families, they're missing their friends. So it'll be nice to see them have someone from home, come out. I wonder who's gonna come for Ace. Imagine it's his best friend. His best friend has had a whole lot of going on the internet. Okay, another random note. Sophie Monk said that Ariana smells like an angel. And Sophie says about herself, she smells like fake tan and regret. Okay, Ian Sterling, who is the narrator, his unseen moment of the week were the Islanders practicing for the Hearts on Fire challenge. So we saw Nick and Sierra, Olandria and Elan, Huda and Chris. I think we saw Zach and Amaya, and we saw Austin and Jaden all preparing for the challenge. One thing they highlighted was Huda and Chris, and Huda was like, I can get on the ground and you could pretend to go down on me. And Chris was like, are we making a porno? And she said, yeah, we're trying to turn people on. So that kind of just shows you the mindset that Huda went into the challenge with. Oh, Nick said to Sierra he could suck her toes, and she was like, please don't. So, guys, for those of you who were wondering why Nick did the most with other women and not Sierra in terms of sucking toes, she did not want him to do that. Olandria said to Elan that she'll probably tease some of the guys and the girls, and this man Elan was like, yeah, he might tease some of the guys too. Okay, Elan. All right, next, Brian and Chris were in the beach hut. Deb was like, Chris is so hot, but she didn't realize that he could hear her. Brian and Chris said it's a crazy experience, and Brian said before when he was just watching the show, he would always wonder why like everyone was crying, but he said when TJ left, he was like ready to bawl. Which was really interesting because, bro, if you're that upset that TJ left, why did you stand behind Jaden? I mean, it's not Friendship Island. It's not Friendship Island. Brian stood behind Jaden because he was interested in getting to know her. I know that, but I just found that to be interesting. Brian and Chris said that they have the best bromance in the villa, and Deb said it's the realest sisterhood we've ever seen. One thing about Deb is she's always going to say something funny. Sophie asked how it was going with Chris and Huda. Chris said it's going well. Oh, and Sophie also said that, we saw Brian and Amaya kissing. And the reaction from Chris seemed like maybe he didn't know that just yet. And Brian was kind of surprised too. It's like, you guys gotta remember that sometimes they forget that they're literally on TV. Like, they're on camera at all times, but I've heard in the past, like, a lot of times you forget that the cameras are there, or you just, like, you're just living your life, you're just going, about your day, and you're not really thinking too much about the cameras. So that was definitely one of those times you could tell all over Brian's face. Sophie asked Brian if he could see anything growing with Amaya, and he pretty much said that personally, he thinks Amaya has been really misunderstood and he loves the passion. But I don't know if it's giving like I know he likes her, but like likes her, you know what I mean? I'm not convinced yet, y'all. Come back for part 3.